I'm not one of the people who can say, I've always wanted to be an architect. There's not a lot of money in architecture. No one in our practice has an ego. If I was doing the same thing every day, I'd get bored very quickly. I think the team and who you work with is really important. Unlocking like £100 million worth of government funding for sites and 20,000 homes. Architecture is so competitive. Our business plan is all about the team and all about the people. I think it comes back to what's good design, which is flexible and adaptable.
So we're here today to speak to Charles of GPAD, who runs, owns and leads the team there. A really amazing architectural practice that I've been working with for 11 to 12 years. Charles has been there for 20 years. And yeah, going to hear about Charles's story, his life at the moment, and lots of stuff to do with his business and his journey. When did you last lose the plot?
This morning.
Kids?
Life. Life in general. Do you really want me to say?
Yeah.
Well, standard day, up at 6, trying to stretch because I've got a very bad back and going skiing at the weekend.
Yeah.
And want to play football again. Trying to stretch while the 4-year-old is waving giraffes in front of my face while I'm trying to get my 20 minutes on my own before I start the day. Then trying to get the kids out so that I can drop 2 drop-offs at school to get to a site meeting at 8 to let someone into a site so that I can get into...
What time do you drop them off at school?
7:30, 8.
Jesus.
Depending, yeah. And then to try and get back into the office for a 9:30 meeting. So, pretty stressful day. I wouldn't say losing the plot, but
high stress.
General high stress.
If you kept your cool in the stretching environment, that's good going. What, you must have been up at
6 o'clock. Normally get up about 6 to try and get, 45 minutes on my own.
So a question I wanted to know, because I think of architects especially as particularly creative, what are your earliest memories of being creative? And do you feel like you always were creative?
I think I'm not one of the people who can say, I've always wanted to be an architect and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think at 16 I had to choose a bit of work experience and what I wanted to at university. And the maybe naive teachers think, okay, so you do art and you are good at maths, therefore architecture is a good thing for you to do. So I think it was pushed towards that.
Had you done any like product design or anything like that, or just art and maths?
Just the usual things that you would do at school. So I think did DT and graphic design and those kind of things. But
fine, so
I wouldn't say I was the best artist or anything like that.
Yeah.
But naturally okay at most of the school subjects. But so they pushed me down that direction. I was never building stuff and drawing stuff and making things from a young age or anything. And I think even when I finished my degree, I didn't really engage with university that much. Maybe took advantage of the football and the lifestyle and things. But I think when I first thought, yes, this is what I want to do, is when I started work. So when I was 21, got my second job. First job was a disaster. Second job.
What was the first job?
Family office, 3 people, husband, wife, son, and me. And it was...
In what space?
Architecture job.
Okay.
That was obviously not my very first job, but my first architectural job, and hated it, and then got a job for GPAD where I am now, and loved it because it's all about learning, it's all about people, you're building stuff, no 2 days the same, those kind of things. I think in terms of creative, when people talk about creativity in terms of architects, they think about people drawing or making models and being really creative in that way. I think my creativity is probably not quite like that. I like problem solving. I like briefing and working out how to optimize the site or how to optimize the value of something, whether that's commercial value or value in terms of EDI, the social value, all these kind of things. I think that's where I'm most creative. Start the job, putting teams together, working out what a brief is, and those kind of things. I mean, I can design, but I think there are better designers and people who do those kind of things. I think I've got good taste and I can guide a process, and that's where I'm most creative.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're very good actually at understanding like the briefs and almost what we want to achieve from something. Every time I speak to you, it's not like I have to spend that much time explaining. You just like get it, and then you get the team working together to bring it to life. Is one of your favourite things sort of helping people grow and leading them through their own journey and the people?
I think the team and who you work with is really important.
Yeah.
one of the bits that I really like about it is working with great people, and not personality wise nice people, but talented people who are focused on doing the best that they can do and bringing the best out of a project.
Have you always been like that, or did you realise that at some point?
I think I probably realised that at some point.
Yeah.
And I think when I first started 20 years ago, I'm sitting there doing drawings, didn't know anything. And I think now you kind of learn what your skills and where you're best placed to add value in a process is. I think I still haven't got, I mean, it's a constantly changing thing. It'd be a bit boring if you knew what you were good at and just did that all the time. But I think I've been more comfortable working out what I'm good at and what I'm not good at and where I can add value. I think I've always liked working with people. It's why I enjoyed architecture when I first started working. I like working out what the gossip is in the industry. And if you come to me with a brief and a problem, whether that problem is maximising a site or getting a planning application in by a certain point or those kind of things, it's you're coming to me with a problem.
Yeah.
It's good for me to solve it for you, but it's also a problem which I can solve. And like naturally, I like solving problems. I think that's probably something in my personality or something. So that is good. And I think only more recently I've come to think that one of my key skills is like working out what the right team is, who's the best person to work on a particular task. And in terms of clients, there's working out what kind of clients that we like working with as well and where we can add the most value. And I think if you came to us and told us this, like at that first meeting, this one did, this one did, why do you need us? And I think going through it and understanding it and working out, okay, so these are the decisions, which one do you want to choose is part of the process, right?
But I take it at the same time, you want your client to have some sort of idea of what they want to deliver, and almost do you then run with that?
As a base, I think one of our key things is we understand our clients. Like it's an overused statement, or maybe it's not, but and no one in our practice has an ego. It's never about us. It's about what we can do for the project and the client. If a client comes to us and says, this is what I want to do, we'll investigate that and work it out, advise risks, benefits, all these kind of things, but then also come with, have you thought about doing this or have you thought about doing that? So I think with the experience in the office, we're quite comfortable at testing different typologies, different scales and pushing a brief. So a project recently, which you've probably seen, I think the client, probably small housing project, they probably bought it thinking they would get maybe 2-3 homes on it. And I think we've hopefully, touch wood, about to get planning for 12. And I think that's through, they came to us and we'll actually decide if you're clever about it. And I think this comes back to architects as well. We're not architects and it needs to be this way because we want it to look this way. If you use architecture to create something great, you can actually drive value in so many terms, like commercial value as well. So we said, if you design a great building, which probably rather than 250 or 275 pounds square foot to build, maybe it's 290, 300, but we can go from 3 homes to 13 homes. And I know size doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be more valuable or profitable.
But are you getting a lot more size, or are you going smaller homes? Like the one you're talking when you went from 3 to 12?
More size.
So in that more one, like, give or take, what was the three
houses? They probably thought.
How big?
1,000 square foot.
Sorry, so you've gone from 1,000 square foot houses, and then you've got 12.
So probably an 8,000 square foot building over.
But you said one building of what?
Yeah,
flats?
so small infill site, 3 houses versus flats. And we, I think we're kind of 4 or 5 stories. Not sure. Anyway, and is that 3 because it's really good design. And coming back to people, it's engaging with a case officer and design officer and walking through what you're trying to do and what you want to do. And maximising site. And I think that's good for us as a practice because we've done a great job for the client. They've spent the money well, we've made them a bit of money, and we've designed a great piece of architecture as well.
I honestly find that almost like gobsmacking that you've changed it around that much. To go from 3,000 to 8,000 square feet. Like that's...
I mean, I've used one example there. They're not all like that. They're not all like that. But I think that... I think a lot of people talk about like USPs or how a particular practice works. I mean, I know some people say, oh, they're really quick and they'll get you a quick pre-app in, quick planning application in. But I would say that we're good at, we work well and efficiently, whether that's speed or not, but we always try to maximise what a site can do.
Yeah.
And even at a feasibility stage, if you say, I want 3 houses, yeah, you could do that, or you could do 12 flats. If you say, no, I just want to go 3 houses, that's all I'm in for.
That's your choice. I never look at something and go, oh, someone advised me wrong and someone got so much more than we were told we could get. Like, planning is just super difficult now.
It is.
And that's affecting, by the way, that's affecting our strategy in terms of what we want to look for. Like, we had a meeting yesterday and I was saying to the land guys, I was like, don't worry about buying like ready, like, or development sites or with consent or without consent. I was like, we can buy rundown blocks or whatever and buy them cheap, spend money on them and deliver a product, not have to worry about affordable housing and everything else that comes with, and building all the regs that come with new build. But
yeah, I mean, it's the thing, it costs so much money to go through the process now. It's not like planning application costs you double, probably takes you double the amount of time, and there's probably double the amount of risk on it.
GPAD, GPAD,
GPAD.
You did it. You start GPAD.
I think so.
Charles, actually, last time, I remember when you did your rebrand, Charles was like, what do you think is better? Like GPAD, GPAD, like what do you think of it as? And I was like, it's obviously GPAD. And I'm glad you stuck to it.
I think that was probably an emotional decision for me rather than like what's best thing for business. Yeah. It is like a completely different place now than it was 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm sure it will be in 5 years' time. But the whole brand shifted. So it was like, oh, do you change the name as well? But I mean, it makes no difference really, does it?
So you're saying that the way that the business felt shifted?
I think everything's shifted in the last kind of 5 years. It has done since I started 20 years ago. We were building out average kind of schemes for developers, like really developer-led stuff. And then first office projects like Shoreditch refurb 10, 12 years ago, pushed us into a different typology and a different scale. And that opened up the doors to a lot of different clients. I think it was still very commercially driven, whereas 5 years ago, the change in ownership perhaps meant that it wasn't necessarily driven by meeting a particular financial target. It was more working on great projects and putting together a good team. Yeah. I think it became much more design focused.
Fine, but obviously you have to have an eye on business viability as well. Is your view that sort of put together the right team and the people and do the right work, it naturally follows? So our business plan is all about the team and all about the people. So every hire is, so we're 25 people. We've got no aspirations of being 100 people. Never want to be like, I want to do architecture. I want to work on real projects. Yeah. So it's all developer-led, experienced people in the office working on real projects. So we don't want to grow to be big, but we want to be of a size where we can do everything that a big practice can do. Yeah. So we're delivering big projects, unlocking like £100 million worth of government funding for sites and 20,000 homes, and we're competing against 100, 200 people practices, but we don't want to be that size. So I think 40 people is the optimum size to offer everything. But do you have that work, or is it like you're pitching for that?
I've done it.
You've done it? Okay.
We're about to be instructed on 3 more. We've done 3 sites, about to do 3 more.
But how do you have the resource, or can you do that with a team of 25 ultimately?
You can do it with a team of 25.
Also, you're doing it with less than that. Is it like a sub team of 5 or whatever?
Those projects were 3 or 4 people, but I mean, a lot of it is early stage master planning work at this stage, but we've got a really good team who have been in the office for a long time, and we partner with a lot of good people. Yeah. I think to be 25 or 40 and work on those kind of projects, you've got to have a really good network, and you've got to be really good at working with people. Yeah. And I think that's what we try and do, like pair with great other architectural practices or other social enterprises or any of those.
And so can you pull that in, like when you're doing something as big as master planning, can you pull in other practices to help you sort of plan the whole thing as opposed to just GPAD?
So we came Carpenter's Estate, which is near Westfield, like Olympic Stadium, all this kind of area. So we were pitching for phase 2 of their regen scheme. We came second to a really well-known practice on fee, which is a little bit weird. Yeah. But on that, we put together a team of another architect, a urban design, like household name global company, a startup, social enterprise, leading landscape designer, and someone who focuses on employment in the area. So we put that team together, and as a team, like none of us are kind of individual names, like the person who wanted, but as a team, we offered great experience, good skills. So
it's a really nice way of growing as a practice.
Yeah,
it's like very authentic.
We never hire people because we've got a problem.
Yeah,
we are constantly interviewing people. So I could probably tell you the next 2 or 3, if we won particular projects or grew in a particular way, 2 or 3 senior experienced people who we'd want to employ, and we've chatted to 3 or 4 times.
And it's just people like you just get to know and like them, not like, oh, you've been interviewing them for months. It's just people on your radar that you go, these are good people, love them to be part of the team if and when they decide to.
So it's not project based. It's if we've got a great team and we deliver really good work, the work will come.
Yeah.
And then as long as we are efficient, which we are, and profitable, then it's fine.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of community work at the moment, which, if anything, costs us money to work on. But we want to do it as a group of people. We like that kind of work. It's interesting, different skill set. It's good.
I have a dream, by the way, that as and when I want you to see if you fancy helping us. I said, like, if I do a passion project within property, I want to create a space in almost like in London, but like foresty, greeny sort of vibe land where you can't get anything traditional on it in terms of no new build resi or office or whatever it may be. And I want to do like a cool, like sauna, cold water plunge pool sort of thing, and almost go, these are low build temporary structures like treehouse vibe, and create that in London and make it like a place for people to go to, because like I love cold swimming.
Yeah, you're mad.
Huh?
You're mad, but
it's amazing. Have you done it before?
No, I'm not
okay,
going to.
No.
So I'll come for the sauna.
You will, and I'll get you in for one.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good, and like there's a real community around it in the various cold swimming places. But there's not like that many in London.
Yeah.
I just thought if you create a real like social community gathering sort of place, it would be amazing. Like with a cafe and everything, like really commercialize it, but make it a very holistic place. Like that's my passion project.
I mean, surely you can do that. Surely there's a
but
you could put together a business plan for that. Surely, and there's loads of. You could sell it in the right way to councils where it's almost there's so many rundown parks and areas like that.
Yeah.
They'd be
and it's well-being ultimately at the heart of it. So it's like, okay, can you let us have some shack style structures that are not big and permanent, but cool and different.
The local community would like that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
Like you get your cafe that you want in the park, but you also get these other bits as well. I think it's good.
Yeah. A big question.
Go on.
Which I don't know how you're going to answer this given what you've said. It sounds like to begin with, you were almost like falling into architecture because you were told it suited your skills and you went to university, etc., etc. As of today, do you love architecture?
Yes. There are bits of my job that I don't like as much as others, but I've never really thought about doing anything else since I started, because you meet loads of people. I've met some great people through it, done some great projects, we've got a really good team, and every day is different and you learn stuff every day. And that's not because you're at a particular point in your career or anything like that, although people learn throughout because every building is different. But the industry's changed, like sustainability, wellness you were talking about before, like every year, how to design stuff at particular costs because of war or other things. It's constantly changing and offering new opportunities to innovate or to change how you're working or those kind of things, which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
But if I was doing the same thing every day, I'd get bored very quickly.
Yeah. It's a nice way to look at it. If someone comes to you with a project, how much of you is thinking, what can this be? And how much of you is thinking, how can I make this a commercially viable, deliverable scheme?
Commercially viable, deliverable scheme is always the first thing.
So do you have to ask more questions about like how much money they have, what their plans are? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how do you ascertain what to do with the project?
I think different architects will have different handles on the commercial viability of things, but everybody in the practice works in a variety of schemes. So the work that we've been doing with Arup for Sheffield Council, with Homes England to develop funding, you're working in Sheffield where the values are really difficult.
Yeah.
we have to work with them to get a scheme which looks great. It's great to live in, it's great to work in, but still stacks up. And that is part of design. I think whatever it is, so we know what's cost effective to build and what isn't. We know you're looking at a workplace scheme and you're trying to add a small bit on top of the building. It's probably not going to be worth the planning risk, the program time, all of these kind of things. I think it's about getting the brief right at the start. But there's no point doing a project if it's not going to get built. And we've all gone through a lot of those through Brexit, COVID, increased construction costs. It's quite sad when stuff doesn't get built. So what's the point?
You've got a lot now in London, probably, that you can drive past or walk past and go, I did that.
It's good. Building stuff is good. I mean, the way up, like 20 to 25% of our fee is associated with getting something to planning. A lot more of the fee is associated with the bits afterwards.
That's good.
So, and it's easier to manage. So when it gets to that stage, it's much better for us as a practice.
It's easier to manage because it's a longer period of work. So
more people.
And so you understand, you're working on it for a more extended period of time, ultimately.
Yeah. And a lot of the time, that early stage of the work, particularly in the market at the moment where architecture is so competitive, a lot of practices will reduce their fees to win a particular project. Maybe they're smaller practices, maybe they're just starting out. That we have to almost take a view on the profit that we're making on those early stages to get a project moving forwards.
Do you think it typically results in you getting the next phase? Or is that that's a new round of bidding?
Well, it depends on the size of the project. So a lot of the time we agree fees right up front for the whole project. But
do they have to keep you on for the whole project? Or just you've agreed the fees?
A bit, but I mean, if we're doing a good job, why would they go elsewhere, I suppose? But
I totally agree. And I actually heard a story recently of another architect who didn't get paid by a developer on actual work that they'd done, like paid work they'd done. And I just thought, as a developer, we take on the risk. We might not make money, but there's the potential upside on what we make. And I just thought it's so rude and not understanding of a professional who's done work based on time to just go, we can't really pay you at the moment because it didn't go well. I just think like that's the risk you take as a developer, and you should always stand by that.
I mean, I agree. If you're not paying people based on performance, so if you do really well on a particular development, you're not going to share out the additional profit that you've got with the consultancy. Therefore, you shouldn't share out the losses on that as well. I mean, it's difficult, and like cash flow has been difficult for lots of people, from contractors to clients, over the last, however many years. And we've had instances where getting paid has been really difficult. We've had to agree payment plans and these kind of things. I think a lot of it comes down to communication. If you're open with people about, look, we haven't got funding on this project for this much time, or this is how it's going to go. Are you okay with that? Great. Other people, when they get to the end of a project and then try not to pay you. I mean, reputation is really important. It's a long career, and it's a big industry, lots of different people, but you get a reputation out there really quickly. So I think it's really important that you're talking to people and acting in the right way, for sure.
Do you ever think I could get an opportunity and run a project?
So I've got a couple of things on.
You do?
Yeah.
Amazing.
So obviously the house, built a house for my wife and me 5 or 6 years ago, which was great, which still got, and then completed on a site just before Christmas, which will be, hopefully, again, depending on funding and all those kind of things, a house for us where we live now, and then another house and 2 masonettes.
Okay.
So working up to planning applications going at the end of this month. And
so you're selling your current house and then going to move to that?
Maybe. I haven't worked that out. One bit of doing all the things that I tell clients not to do and just muddling through and working it out. But that one, and then I've done a few kind of options, like got planning on a couple of things, got 2 options that we're working on at the moment, planning will go in the next month. So
amazing.
We'll do bits. Actually looked at Hackney Road. It was on Hackney Road.
291.
Yeah. Looked at it and looked like we bid. A guy called Andy from Hutt. Don't know. They're an architecture practice. I've got really friendly with him. So our charity, Build the Way, he's a director of that. So me and him are directors. So we looked at buying that for him, having half of it for his office, me having a bit for my office, and then doing something on the ground floor, more kind of maybe a cafe, maybe a gallery, but something with a community focus.
Yeah.
I don't know, community kitchen or something, and then a couple of houses on the side.
Sorry, is that in line with your charity? Is it would be the charity that goes in there, or just generally doing something for the community?
I don't know, maybe. Again, we hadn't really worked it out. We just thought this is a good space in an area that we work in with Build the Way. It was just like a nice opportunity. Yeah. So we'll do more in the future.
Yeah. What is your next phase? Do you go, we want to go someone to back it, or do you guys do it yourselves? Like, how do you?
So on the one that hopefully one of the houses will be ours, that's 50-50 with a client that we've worked with for a long time. Another one, the option stuff is, again, with someone that I did work for a few years ago. She had a good site. We worked up a one house scheme for it. It got refused. I really believed it. I said she was going to sell it at a loss. And I said, I think this is you should be getting this, go to appeal. Yeah. I funded the appeal and basically just did it.
As you did the architecture and covered the rest. Yeah.
I did everything, paid the consultants, paid all the fees, got it. Yeah. So it was then overturned, got approval for it. And then through that, we've developed a relationship where we've got a few things on the go as well. So it's all.
But did you agree at that time where you're like, if I get planning consent, can we do this together, sort of thing?
No, we agreed a bonus fee.
Fine, okay.
But then from that, she trusted me at that point, and said, "Right, you've obviously got to go," and therefore we've started doing stuff together. And then
I'm very pleased you're doing that, because I, rightly or wrongly, I always look at architects and I think, if you have the capacity to look at things, I'm like, why are you not being the client?
I mean, cash and I don't know, risk appetite, I suppose. But there's not a lot of money in architecture, and therefore use your skills to be able to do, which is what we do as a practice as well. Work on the things that you want to do, or do a small infill development or whatever you want to do, as well as the projects which pay the bills. So I think we do both developments, and I know a few people in the office want to do it as well. We'll look at together. So,
and who's making that decision to say, do things that you love and do things that pay the bills? Is it your decision? Is it like a group decision?
I mean, the practice is run as a group, and I think everybody buys into it. It's almost like something that we haven't really talked about. Yeah. It's just.
Is it as long as it covers the time? That's enough. Or you said sometimes you do things at a loss even.
Yeah, the community work is definitely at a loss. Projects we always try and at least cover costs, but we will we've got a standard profit percentage which we put onto projects, and some, if we want to work on them or we're trying to get into a new market, or we can drop that percentage down, either to be a bit more competitive with the fee, or it's for a council, therefore different kind of funding structure. So it's worked so far, but I don't know. Again, like, it's been a difficult time, but the last few years we've muddled through, and I think a lot of practices have struggled. So yeah.
Credit to you guys and how you work, and I think everyone loves working with you. I know I love working with you.
Thank you very much.
I feel like I've never even spoken about the fact that with Milverton Road, it's like we had such a battle for whatever it was, 2 years to get planning. And that's when we came to you and we're like, look, here's what we've gone for. We've gone for 2 traditional houses. We've gone for 1 traditional house. We're getting rejected. And we're like, just do what you want with it. See what you think. And then you just got it first time.
It's a nice house, that.
It's very nice. I hope you'll come and visit after.
I'll come and have a look, I thought it was quite, like, the design of it was quite a nice opportunity, really. The scale of it and the plot size and those kind of things meant you could be quite fun with it, which is really good.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll feel we've been true to the original vision. It's changed a little bit, but not much externally. So externally, you'll see it. It looks pretty much identical, but we've done a lot of internal work and really thinking about who the end user is and how they'll operate in there. So
it's interesting, like, when you talk about projects we want to work on, and with the comms people that we were talking to this morning, they asked what you're doing and what kind of scale projects you want to work on. And we work on primarily workplace and housing and homes to all scales, and it's not driven by we want to work on this particular size of project. Like, I love working on a single house, whether it's an infill house or a 12,000 square foot house, whatever the scale is, right up to large scale resi.
Is that because there's more? Do you think there's more problem solving in the small scale?
I think, like, Milverton Road, it's you can be a bit freer with the design, and working at that scale allows you to do nice things with the, getting too architecty, but nice things with the windows and the materials. And there's something nice about solving something to that degree of detail on a small site.
Yeah.
Whereas it's different problems on bigger sites, but you don't want to do the same thing over and over, right?
Yeah.
So that's,
Agreed. And whether it's small scale or large scale, like, do you spend time thinking about like who the end user of the product is going to be, and how they're going to live or work within it? Do you spend a lot of time on that? Yeah. And that's obviously developing over time and changing.
Developing over time. But I think for us as a practice, the ethos is very people focused, which, again, leaning on terms which don't really tell the whole story, but it's about creating good places which are healthy, viable, fun, long-lasting for people to live in and to work in. And I think that's where we focus our time. There's no point designing flats or houses which are poor. I think it affects the commercial value for the person who's paying to build it or refurbish it, and it affects the health and well-being of the person who lives in there. So 100%, It's all about who occupies the space and who looks at it from the street and those kind of things.
Exactly. What's the feature that you're really pushing right now? And that could be aesthetic, could be material, layout.
A couple of things. I think from a layout perspective, separate living spaces, and I think maybe that's
back.
I think so. I mean, maybe it's just because I've got 2 young kids and I want to shut them in a room and not have to listen to them screaming while I'm cooking dinner. But I think that kind of variety of spaces in homes is really important, particularly when you're getting to kind of 3-bed scale. I think it's really important to have that area where you can have open plan living. Again, awful term, but that space, but also the smaller space where you can do things like kids play areas or TV room or anything.
And then you just making them separate rooms, or you doing, as in something we've done on a few projects for a while, is like doing pocket doors into the next phase of the room. So it's like you can leave it open or closed, or you just going separate. Like
a bit of both. I think it comes back to what's good design, which is flexible and adaptable. And one person might want to use it for that space. One person might use it for a study. One person might use it for home gym. And it's understanding, I think, that everyone wants to live in slightly different ways, and a layout needs to allow for that. So I think it's really thinking about how is someone going to live in it and making it as flexible as possible. I think the other is passive house. Again, without getting too technical, but energy performance and sustainability of buildings, making sure it's long lasting and built well.
So you're talking about the concept as opposed to a passive house compliant scheme?
Yeah, I think, again, whatever the typology, getting certificates for particular things is pointless. I think it's about good design.
Yeah.
So what we were talking about before, the little site that we're doing that we completed on pre-Christmas, it will be designed to passive house principles.
Okay. Last question on architecture.
Go on.
For you and your journey and young architects now you see coming through, is there anything you change about the journey that architects have to go on? You have to commit so early to being an architect. Let's say you were late to the game at 16, 17 and you started thinking about it, but some people might be thinking earlier. You're then doing GCSEs and A-levels that lead you towards probably architecture. Then you do your part 1, then you start work, then your part 2. And it's such a long journey.
Yeah. We've, alongside a lot of other people, are involved with Build the Way, which is a KIC charitable community investment trust. Anyway, so it's focused on providing opportunities for people to get into the built environment.
Okay.
So people who maybe are excluded by wealth or UCAS points, or because they can't see anyone who's similar in terms of background to them in the industry. So we've set that up as a response to that.
Okay.
We founded that probably 4 or 5 years ago with a group called Paul Collective, and now Andy from Hut, they're also part of it. We took on 2 employees 3 or 4 months ago, and we have 5 trainees this year, and that's all based on the premise of making the industry more equitable. Yeah. Also, why do you need to go to university for 7 years to do architecture? It's madness.
But you have to get them qualified, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that if they're not?
So we're still exploring this. So we had 3 trainees finish last year.
Yeah.
So it's a 9-month.
So that's a trainee of what? Like, what do they get?
So the program, 9-month London living wage, 4 days a week in the office, paid time.
Yeah.
They go to the LSA, London School of Architecture, to get a EPQ, which is half an A level.
Yeah.
They spend 3 months, 1 day a week. This is so 12 sessions with consultants or friends of it, learning how to do quantity surveying or landscape design or playground design. And then the last 3 months on their day off, free day, they do put together an exhibition. So they did that last 9 months. They were all 19, couldn't get into university or whatever. And now one of them's gone to university, 2 are doing apprenticeships.
Yeah.
So paid apprenticeships. 2 really good companies, Howard Tomkins and Grimshaw, so a proper companies doing it. So we've got 5 this year. 1 we've just offered an apprenticeship to, who's really good, really, again, start of his career, but the difference in the commercial aspect, if you go to university, I'm rounding numbers, minus 100 grand, minus 150 grand over that period. If you go through an apprenticeship route, you're plus 80 or 100 grand. So,
and you can still end up with the same qualifications at the end of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So you can do apprenticeship, takes longer, but again, you have so much experience at the end of it that the salaries you can command are different. But university, in essence, is inequitable.
So let's say you start your journey at 18.
Yeah.
Like, how old would you be when it finished, and at what level are you talking? Part
so
what?
You can go right the way through. I think to do it all part time, like apprenticeship route, is probably 9 or 10 years.
Okay.
So probably an extra 3 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. But getting paid throughout.
Yeah. Making contacts, working on real projects, doing proper things.
Yeah. So probably even though it takes a bit longer, probably by the end of that period, career-wise, probably further advanced, and also financially significantly better off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So really I would change architecture completely.
Yeah.
Hopefully it does.
Lucky I put that in as a question.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
The way as well.
Would you do that if it was available now?
So I did my part 2 part time.
Yeah.
So I finished my degree, did that, and so I was essentially doing an apprenticeship for my part 2 and on anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would.
And are you covered by your employment for your part 2? Fine.
Yeah. So we are working out what to do with the trainee who we're at now, who's 18 years old.
Yeah.
Hasn't got any degree qualifications or anything like that, but has been with us 4 months so far. Driven, intelligent, nice person. I think
have they always been interested in it? Like, are they someone that grasps it quickly?
I mean, he's the opposite of me, great at drawing. So some of his drawings are amazing. He just really likes it. And I think, so like I said, we've got 5 this year. We're still, it's the 3rd cohort, so we're still exploring how people move on to the next stages of their career.
Yeah.
But hopefully, if more people are focused on it and the value of the traineeship and their training is recognised by other practices, that there'll be more apprenticeship routes.
Can I just ask, how did this come about? Like, it's really interesting. Do you not agree with the university sort of system? And
I think it's okay for some people.
Okay.
Maybe some people who learn in that environment it's good for, but I mean, if anything, my degree put me off doing architecture. It's like too conceptual and not really rooted in problem solving, going onto a site and seeing what's built, things like that. And a lot of people they haven't got the role models who have been to university, so it puts them off. A lot of people don't have the money.
There's so much now as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so much. Or don't have the right UCAS points. And again, UCAS points, different people learn in different ways. People have different personality traits or undiagnosed things in the brain, which means it's difficult for them to do exams. It's just so, I think university is exclusive. I think it should be an option, but I think there should be other options available to people as well, yeah.
Does that not link back to education as a whole then, rather than just university?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I remember, being in school and everything, I hated exams. I would learn fine and I'd retain information. I'd go into an exam hall and it just goes out of my head.
And some people, it's different days. Like, one day you might be absolutely fine in that environment, the next you're not. And why should you be penalised in your career, in your life, because you learn in a different way or have reacted badly to pressure one day or those kind of things? I think it's really archaic, the whole education of it. Yeah, there needs to be ways to teach a variety of people, I think. Yeah. and to test their knowledge. Like if you're not good at exams, why not sit in a room and talk? Sit in a room and talk to someone, because that's really what your career is going to be based on, rather than you writing an exam response to something.
I think you can tell when you speak to someone if they're actually picking up concepts.
Yeah.
So you can, as I said, you can feel more from in person as opposed to a single exam.
Yeah.
And the
comes down to design as well. Like we haven't really worked our way out of doing this shit, but why are we designing and delivering 1,000 homes which are the same when I walk into a room and the lighting in a room will really affect me and how I think about something. There's a room in our gym where I can't go in it. You can't see outside properly. The lighting's too bright, and it makes me feel a little bit weird. Other people are absolutely fine with that, but our spaces don't correspond to the different people who are going to live in them. And I think 10% accessible homes, it's like, okay, but they're not being occupied by wheelchair users, a lot of those ones. Why people in a wheelchair? Why not people who have on the spectrum in different ways? And these kind of, like, why not?
What are your passions? What do you take most joy from, and why?
I love spending time with my kids, doing whatever they want to do, building Lego, doing whatever. I really enjoy spending time with them. They drive me completely mad, but I enjoy spending time with them. Personal things, football, still play football, and a lot of my friends say I'm completely mad to still be playing football, but that's a big thing. Football in the gym, like keeping fit, just doing exercise and all those kind of things. Is it
like the mental break, or like?
I think it's definitely the mental break. So there's nothing else for me like football, gym, the gym to some extent, and a bit of running, but football is walk on the pitch. 90 minutes later, you haven't thought about anything other than playing football. It's complete break, and the team, again, having a drink or spending a bit of time with the team afterwards, is completely separate to work. Doesn't come up. It's just it's something that's just for you. I think it's competitive. It's good for you. It's fun. All those things. Yeah, it ticks a lot of boxes, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why.
Yeah,
and I don't know about you. I didn't realise probably until my late 20s, maybe even 30, just how important it was, and I was just taking it for granted that it gives me that 90 minutes, or on a weekend or training session during the week, gives me that 90 minutes of nothing else. But I didn't even know what it was or why it was helping me.
Yeah, it allows you to channel energy and kind of reduce stress and forget about your kids and your wife and all these kind of things for an hour and a half, which I think is really important. Also socially, like a lot of your network will be from work or from sport and football. And I often talk now about how kids who aren't maybe playing sport or doing those kind of things anymore, how are they going to make friends later in life? Like when we moved to where we are now, when we had kids 6 years ago, just before our eldest was born, didn't know anyone. Moved there because easy to get to work, green, all these kind of things. But a lot of my friends now are people that I've met through the football club. And I think that again, maybe not playing down how old you are, but as you gradually move and your friends move away or you have to move house, like that social network that you get from sport and things outside work is really important.
I agree. It really
when you retire and all these kind of things. I think, again, not judging, but I think it's important that your kids see you doing stuff for you. Yeah. So my kids will come and watch play football. They'll hang around in the clubhouse afterwards. They'll play with the other kids and those kind of things. And I think it's...
Did you have that growing up?
Not really, actually.
Okay.
Not really. I played a little bit when I was kind of late teens and things like that. But no, I think my mum's always played netball.
Okay.
And we'd go and watch her occasionally. I think sport has always been a big thing for us as a family. Yeah. I played football with my brother. Like the three of us played in the same Saturday and Sunday league team. We'd train together 2 or 3 times a week, and it's just it's always been a big part of our life as a family, I think.
Yeah, it's awesome. That sort of wraps it up.
Good.
So thank you. Unless there's anything you've got for me.
I know
we're running out of water
for ages, but no. Thank you.
But thank you. Much appreciated.